Nothing's more important than beating this virus, which is why I try to keep you up to date with the companies that are fighting COVID-19. Companies like Emergent Biosolutions, a drug company focused on vaccines. You might remember them as the supplier of smallpox and anthrax vaccines for the U.S. government. And now they're fighting the pandemic. Emergent's developing a pair of treatments using blood plasma. One takes the plasma from people who already have coronavirus antibodies. The other uses plasma from horses that have been immunized. Both could potentially help people with severe cases of COVID-19, make it easier for their immune systems to fight this thing, and that's what really is at stake here. On top of that, Emergent signed on a contract manufacturer for not one, not two, but 3 drug companies that are working on vaccines, including the one of the most promising ones from J&J. And that's why the stock has been roaring. It's up 47% for the year, close to 20% just since J&J news a week and a half ago. Can this stock keep climbing? Let's take a close look with Robert Kramer, no relation, the president and CEO of Emergent Biosolutions, to find out more about what his company's doing to fight the outbreak. Mr. Kramer, welcome back to Mad Money.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to be with you.
Okay, so, Robert, here's something that's amazing in your conference call. You say, first, we're taking our history of working hand-in-hand with the U.S. government to be able to develop and manufacture critical vaccines. Second, we're leveraging our long history of manufacturing our own therapeutics and vaccines to develop 2 COVID-19 product candidates. Simply put, Emergent is built for this challenge. How did that happen that it's just the right time for Emergent?
Well, I think, Jim, this is a culmination of what we've been doing for 20-plus years as a company. We've had a history of focusing on public health threats, helping our nation prepare for these kinds of threats, whether they be chemical and biologic threats or the opioid crisis that we last talked about on your show back in December, or now the COVID-19 crisis. So we built a business around a model that focuses on helping our nation prepare for these kinds of threats. And we couldn't be more proud of the work that we do or the partners that we serve, including J&J.
So let's divide it of the candidates that you have yourself and there's some smaller companies, the deal with J&J, because I'm trying to understand. I spoke with some of the people up at Harvard that are working with J&J, and they're very excited. The main thing is that J&J also needs the scale if it really works. But is it a race among yourselves, your contract manufacturer versus you?
No, I think we're here, Jim, to support any number of vaccine candidates with the overall objective or goal of making sure that we get at least one, if not several, of these vaccine candidates through a phase 1, through a phase 2. We have the capability to manufacture those candidates at a scale where we could potentially make hundreds of millions of doses of those available to the public as soon as possible. That's the goal. We're kind of indifferent, quite frankly, in terms of which one gets there, but we're here to support anybody who wants to work with us.
Okay, so, Bob, this is what I watched the town hall yesterday with the president, and he's basically guaranteeing a vaccine by the end of the year. My problem is having a vaccine and making the vaccine are very different. You just promised that it could be hundreds of millions, which would eliminate a lot of what I'm most worried about, which is there's a million and there's just a rush to see who gets it. Do you think that the president is being too exuberant and it would be better to step back and say, we sure hope we can get something soon?
Well, I think that's probably the better wording, Jim. I mean, listen, nobody can guarantee anything. We're here, as well as all of our partners and collaborators, doing everything we can to make sure that a vaccine and treatments are available as soon as possible. And whether you refer to the current administration's comments on warp speed or pandemic speed, I mean, we're all in this together to literally accelerate wherever we can the development and the clinical timeline. And it's true that the typical timeline would be, as Dr. Fauci and many other his colleagues have said, 12 to 18 months. The hope is that we can look at this creatively. We can look for ways to shorten that time frame and make a significant number of doses available to the public as soon as possible.
But, Bob, when you look at who has done things fast, Ebola 5 years, mumps that I found was the shortest 4 years. Isn't this 18 months? Is there any way we could be just completely wrong? And we're just, that it's just a 3-year thing and we shouldn't try. Even 3 years would be incredibly fast.
Yeah, so I think it's important, Jim, to differentiate the timeline from beginning to an FDA-approved vaccine versus from the beginning to a vaccine that could be made available to the public under some type of emergency use authorization or compassionate use protocol in a much faster time frame. So, for example, once you go through a phase 1 and you're into a phase 2 and you're preparing to do the readout of that data, can we be prepared to have tens, if not hundreds of millions of doses of vaccine available, which have been manufactured at risk during the phase 2, so that when that data is read and the FDA can get comfortable with the safety and efficacy of that data, those doses can be released to the public under some type of emergency use authorization. That's where the shortening of the timeline could happen.
Well, look, you made me feel better. I've been caught up trying to figure out where we could get that break. Maybe that's where it is. I want to thank you so much, Robert Kramer, CEO of Emergent Biosolutions. Last time Narcan, this time COVID. Mad Money's back in.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Kramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Kramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.